Hi folks, and welcome to today's webinar hosted by icetana in partnership with Milestone. My name is Ryan Smith. I'm the Managing Director of Stratium Group. I'll be looking after you today from a hosting perspective. It's fantastic to have you all with us. Today we're going to be exploring the integration between Milestone's VMS platform and icetana's adaptive AI and some of the benefits that organizations can realize from the merge of this technology. Joining us from Milestone is Llewellyn Davies. Many of you already know Llewellyn. He's been with Milestone for almost a decade. He's currently a senior solutions engineer, and he really plays a key role helping organizations to understand and deploy Milestone's VMS technology. Representing icetana, we've got Mo, our sales director. Mo brings almost 2 decades of experience in leading sales across the technology industry. He's very highly skilled in the technical elements of icetana, and he's really been instrumental in helping organizations across the MENA region adopt icetana's adaptive AI. Just a little bit of housekeeping before we get into the speakers who you've really come to listen to is the session will be recorded, and we will all send you a copy afterwards. Please feel free to submit your questions at any time during the webinar, using the Q&A box. We've saved at least 10 minutes at the end for live questions. If we don't get to them, we'll endeavor to respond to you individually post the webinar. And of course, if you have any technical issues, which we're not envisaging, please reach out in the chat and we'll do our best to sort those out during the session. I think we'll kick off with Llewellyn, followed by Mo. So Llewellyn, I'll hand over to your capable hands to give us an overview of the Milestone platform.
Thank you very much for that. Let me start by sharing my screen. And yeah, we'll kick things off. Thank you for that kind introduction. I've been with Milestone for a long time, seen many different technologies, and I'm really excited to share a little bit more about what Milestone does and what icetana does and where we have synergy and where we complement each other. And I'm not going to steal anyone's thunder because I think there's interesting stuff coming later with live demos and all of that. So what I want to do is just set the backbone. So the structure that I'm going to do is quite simple. I'm just going to explain where Milestone fits in. I'm going to explain a little bit of a challenge that the industry has got and that people are maybe not that aware of. And then I'm going to tell you how Milestone and icetana can solve that. So nice and simple. And kicking off, we'll start with what is Milestone, and 30-second snapshots. You can think of Milestone as the backbone or the central nervous system of your solution. It's made up of 3 pillars that I want to touch on. So the one is the ability to scale, the one is the ecosystem of partners, and that's where icetana fits in very nicely, and the open platform, which is very, very important to us. So where Milestone fits in, over 500,000 installations worldwide. It's a Danish company. It's been around for 27 years. It's still going strong. It's not experimental tech by any stretch of the imagination. The thing is, if you want to add AI and you want to add the fancy stuff, you need to add it on top of something that's rock solid already. And that's where we fit in. Over 15,000 different camera models that are supported. Open APIs, open SDKs. It's easy to integrate with Milestone. What this means for the customer is there's no lock-in. There's no lack of flexibility. They can evolve as their system evolves. So you're not stuck today planning for, I need to future-proof this for the next 5 years and I don't know where I'm going to be in 5 years' time. It's easy because you can just evolve the system as you grow. The next part of that is the open video backbone, and over 1,000 third-party applications that are integrated. There's access control, intrusion systems, fire systems, body-worn cameras, IoT sensors. Of course, there's AI and analytics. There's a lot. But what it allows you to do is combine best-of-breed solutions, so you don't have to guess where you're going to need to be in 5 years' time. You can grow it. This is a nice little graphic, and I think this explains it very, very well. And we're going to see what it looks like in a moment when Mo does the demo. But you've got the devices, you've got the integrations, all circling the hub, which is XProtect, which acts as the hub for video, events, and alarms. Something this diagram doesn't show you, though, is the control room, the human side of this. That's where the challenge is. So that's the challenge that we're going to help you solve today. The elephant in the room is the smart camera. There's a lot of capability that's sitting on the edge. There's object detection, loitering, tripwires, and all of these sort of things, and they're getting more powerful. So XProtect ingests all of these events already. We've got integration into these cameras, and we're doing integration. We do it properly. We can pull in these events. But they're great if you know what you're looking for specifically. So that specific fence line, that specific door, that time window or period of time, let me figure out what happened during that. Their XProtect with an edge device is fantastic. So you've got all of those capabilities, but why aren't the operators relaxed and happy? Because this is where there's a paradox that starts. That paradox is the capability versus capacity. We're adding more cameras, we're adding higher resolution cameras, we're adding more analytics, but we're dealing with the same human attention span. There's only so much that a person can do, and we're not adding more control room operators. So pixels are cheap, but attention is not. What you need to do is you need to be able to detect critical events faster, but without more staff. The budget's not going to allow it. So every rule that you set up does take time. It takes time to create it, to test it, to fine-tune it, and then to maintain that. When you multiply that by hundreds of cameras, it becomes a full-time job. It's a serious workload for anyone. And something that I think a lot of people don't do very well is the fact that you need to revisit this constantly. Your environment is changing, lighting conditions, layouts are changing, people are moving things around, even behavior is changing. We've seen that. When I approach this fence, I know there's an alarm that's going to get triggered. I know armed response is going to come out, or whatever it might be, the police in your case, wherever you are in the world. And okay, I'm not going to approach it there. I'm going to go somewhere else and do the same thing over there. I can get away with it. Behavior changes. So you need to tweak these things all the time. What we've done with rules is we've solved the capability problem, but we haven't solved the capacity problem by any stretch of the imagination. We are hitting the limits of human capacity. And the fact is you can't configure weird. So in real life, there's a lot of unexpected behavior. There's a lot of things that people do that you just haven't thought of ahead of time. So this is actually based on a video clip, but I didn't want to get into trouble by putting the actual video clip in, but it was a lady that was skating along a travelator. Who would have thought to configure a rule for that ahead of time? I can guarantee you nobody. So whether it's somebody that tripped, they fell in an area that you weren't expecting it, whether it's a crowd that suddenly gathers, maybe because somebody tripped and fell, or somebody skating on a travelator, who knows? But there's a lot of things that you're going to miss if you haven't set up a rule for them ahead of time. And when you're asking an operator to sit and look at hundreds of cameras and just notice it, sometimes they will, but that's luck. Most of the time they won't. You miss some of the most interesting events if you haven't had the forethought to think of them, and we're human. We can't think of every scenario ahead of time. So the old way of doing things is rules and thresholds. You tell the system what you want it to look for. This means more alerts for your operator. It also means configuration tax, if you want to call it that. The new approach is you learn what normal looks like, and then you flag patterns that are unusual, that are not normal. Because human attention span is finite, and we need to protect that. We don't need more intelligence. We need better intelligence. And this is where icetana comes in very, very nicely. It's adaptive artificial intelligence that learns your site rather than having you script every single possibility ahead of time. I think in a nutshell, this sums it up quite nicely. You're not reducing the coverage, you're reducing the noise. Your operators spend their time on actual events, not chasing false alarms. And through this side, we can actually address both sides of that capability paradox. Onboarding all of these different systems, onboarding all of these different cameras, but then making them actually useful to your control room. And we'll have a look at what that looks like shortly. That's my side of it. To see how it does this specifically and with demos and all the cool stuff, I'm going to hand it over to Mo.
Thanks, Llewellyn.
Thank you, Llewellyn. And let me start sharing my screen. Excellent. So thank you, Llewellyn, for that wonderful, wonderful introduction. So let's talk a little bit about icetana. Icetana is a company that has spent 15 years building technology to solve the problem of human cognition. Icetana came out of a Curtin University project about 15 years ago. And 5 years ago, we rebuilt our tech stack to the mature software that it is today. Our core algorithms have been trained on hundreds of millions of hours of footage. Our vision is to keep people safe, and our mission is to lead the world in predictive SOC security. We operate worldwide, but we are proudly Australian. Our headquarters is based out of Perth, Australia. So let's go into the problem. Security operations, risk management, facility oversight. If you work in any of these, you already know the uncomfortable truth, right? Like Llewellyn said, you have a limited number of staff, you have even tighter budgets, but the problem is not the lack of cameras, but the impossible volume of data. Now, when you operate at a large scale, you simply cannot monitor everything, even with the best of intentions. After about watching 20 minutes of a single screen, 95% of screen activity is lost to the human brain. A typical lot site, a campus, a university campus, or as in with one of our customers locally, 8,000 cameras, multiple sites, and thousands more being added on. With that amount of volume of data, critical incidents are going to get overlooked. Response times will be slow, and your environment will be constantly at risk. The solution is, instead of telling the system what to do, what is forbidden, icetana learns what is normal. It understands the flow of people, vehicles, and bicycles, camera by camera, and it relearns this every 24 hours. It does not treat yesterday's data as gospel truth. If you open a new entrance, we learn it. If the traffic pattern changes, we learn it. icetana filters out almost all of the noise, and the system highlights what truly matters. No more guessing, smarter alerts over time. The operator simply addresses the anomalies that statistically stand out, and all of this without any camera upgrades. We use your existing infrastructure and save your investment in it. So the value that we bring is, think of our surveillance system as thousands of security operators on a single GPU, and the self-learning AI learns what is normal, and only the anomalies are presented in real time to grab the operator's attention. It's like noise-canceling headphones, but for your CCTV video. We're ready within 24 hours of installation, no manual processes, no extensive camera setups, and we're built for scale. We're not built for the mom and pop small store. You're looking at multiple sites, massive networks. A little bit about SOC security, and this is the trajectory that we have noticed in our industry. When little or no automation was there, you were completely at the mercy of the operator and what he could see and what he couldn't see, or what he acknowledged, right? With partial automation, motion detection, things got better, but there were huge amounts of false alarms, rule maintenance, and configuration was complex. With rules being introduced, now an operator could manage about 250 cameras, but still, like Llewellyn said, if there were any environmental changes, you had to reset the rules again. It got complex, and IT teams had to be constantly involved. Today, where we are with icetana, on average, we notice that with our customers, that about 500 cameras can be handled by a single operator in a SOC. And where we're headed is extremely exciting, because we are complementing the current SOC operator and turning him into a super operator with the capabilities, with our agentic AI capabilities, such as triage agent, relay agent, and some that are in the sandbox right now with our resource and verification agent. So much so that robots are going to have icetana on as the security robots go around the perimeter, they would have icetana understanding the complexities of the scene. So let's talk a little bit about the product. So our product, our base foundation product, is our safety and security. which alerts on all the abnormal behaviors in real time. Then we have the forensic quick find that goes on top of it that can instantly track and trace a person of interest across your premises. With AI assistance, with our agents that are coming up, you can summarize, prioritize, communicate automatically with your security on ground all the critical events that matter to you. With analytics, you can turn raw data, raw surveillance feeds into measurable insights so other stakeholders in the business can actually use our products such as operations, risk, and planning. And of course, facial recognition and license plate recognition. If you do not want a bad actor in your premises, you could use both of those. If a slide could paint 1,000 words, this would be it. On your left is the SOC of yesterday. Loud, noisy, incoherent, with little or no explainability or understanding of what is being displayed. On your right is our predictive SOC of tomorrow, where the operators are now super operators. They understand what is happening. AI is meaningful to them with a live wall that actually shows them what is of meaning to do. And then each operator is now handling thousands of cameras with the limited staff that they have. They're smart, they're efficient, they're proactive, with a better understanding of what is happening in their environment. And we are giving you a greater return on your investment. Let's talk a little bit about the Milestone integration and what happens. The real question is not whether icetana works. The real question is how tightly it integrates and whether the architecture holds up in a live environment. Milestone customers already use Milestone XProtect as their command center. Icetana is designed to sit inside that without forcing teams to change how they operate. Milestone provides the raw camera footage. Icetana ingests it, understands the scene, and several processes run simultaneously, such as object detection, pattern learning, statistical anomaly detection. When an anomaly is found inside Milestone, icetana pushes the intelligence straight in. The first integration point is the searchable bookmarks inside XProtect, and an operator can filter the cameras that are enabled and gives a time window of instantly surfacing every anomaly generated by icetana. No manual scrubbing, no searching, no guesswork. The second integration point is the alarm management. So all events generated by icetana appear inside the alarm management. This includes our core safety and security product, and also the add-on capabilities such as facial recognition and license plate recognition. All of this reduces the wasted time spent in searching for incidents. Instead of hunting, now the event operators address exactly what matters. At this point, I will go into the live demo side of things, so just bear with me while I bring that on. So this, people who already know Milestone actually can see the Milestone XProtect window. You can also see that icetana is already displayed within the Milestone XProtect window. For the purposes of this live demonstration, and this is a live demonstration, I have two different sites, and I will be acting as an operator who actually logs into multiple sites. So the first thing I do when I start my shift, I log into the sites. But today is special. I have new tools today. I have icetana that will make sense of this data, and I will be able to add more value than I previously could ever before because icetana is present. So as soon as I log in, I see that I get a brief health check of exactly what is happening on my site. The number of cameras that are online, if there's any maintenance work, the number of cameras that are offline, the hours of footage that have been recorded, the average events per day that have been generated, the average events per camera, and I can see which of my cameras are the busiest. If I move on to the live wall, this is where I start enjoying the software, because no more am I seeing a bank of screens. If all 57 of them were on at the same time, it would be the loud, noisy environment. But here I'm presented with an environment that is Oops, sorry. Here I'm presented with an environment that is quiet, that only events that are of matter actually show up on this live wall. And if there are any events that I missed, if I took a break, for instance, then the ticker tape is right over here that shows me all the events that happened. But let's go into something that happened very recently. So here I had a situation where all of a sudden my live wall went live at first thing in the morning. At 1 a.m. in the morning, I had my site being breached. It was an unusual time of day, unusual count, and the live wall actually started lighting up, showing me this thing is happening. Now, as an operator, automatically my job is easier now. I did not search for this. The live wall brought the event to me. Generative AI kicked in as well. It gave me an explanation that it's 1 a.m. in the morning. Usually your site is quiet, but for now, all of a sudden, there is an unusual time of day, an unusual count. As I'm looking through the footage, the next screen pops up. And you know, something that Llewellyn said, right? You cannot configure for weird. Well, this is as weird as it gets. So you see a bunch of kids walking around my premises with traffic cones on their head. And the best part is the Gen AI kicks in and actually even describes that, saying it's 1:09 a.m. and someone's walking around your premises at with a traffic cone on your head. As it goes on, the system is going through camera by camera, tracking them across multiple cameras. And it's taking all the guesswork away from me, and the system is doing all the heavy lifting. So much so that when they come back to the site at 1:30 a.m., I go into my SOPs and I'm like, I need to call in law enforcement and I need to get them off my premises before they damage my property. And when I do that, Gen AI also kicks in again and tells me, hey, we caught them. Police is now present and they're being escorted off-site. As an operator, my life is so much easier now because I have AI helping me do a better job than I could do ever before. These are just some of the tools that are capabilities that we have at our capabilities. We have facial recognition, license plate recognition, loitering, perimeter breach, trip and fall, all the tools that could help me be a better operator than I was ever before. So let's switch gears a little bit. So if I wanted to see what was happening today, and if I were to see all the events that were happening today, and I wanted to locate a person of interest, for instance. So I see that this person came in at 4 a.m. in the morning. This happened today, by the way. And I see that he was accessing my site. Nobody was present. And a little bounding box shows up. I can highlight him. And I can now say, okay, let me see where he was and what was his whereabouts. So automatically, our forensic quick find tool clicks in. I've done nothing more than highlight the object that I'm interested in. The match confidence bar comes over and automatically it shows me a low level of confidence so that I could see a maximum number of results. But if I change it to a higher degree, I can see that those objects go away and only the ones that match the closest to that object is seen. And now I can see I found him on different sites, on different cameras across my premises. All of this done with a click of a button. Let's move a little bit into analytics capability. So here, with my analytics capability, I can now generate a flow count. So if I have other stakeholders in the business, no more are we just a security intelligence tool. We can also be used to aggregate data. So for instance, here I have an aggregation of data from multiple different cameras. These cameras I've set up rules for. Not only are we self-learning, but we can also set up rules. I've got virtual lines that are aggregating the data. And if I wanted to understand what was happening in the last week, then the figures are presented right in front of me. Operations can use us, crowd planning can use us, and emergency response modeling can be made better using our data. I'm able to even generate heat maps or I'm also able to generate dwell points. So there's a lot more capability that comes to our security tool that we have. Now, this was just on one site, but as a security operator, if I have multiple sites, I can just switch the tab and go to my next site. And the next site is presented to me as well. And this is a site in UAE. So this site tells me that I have 8 cameras online and how many cameras are offline. And if I wanted to see highlights of this view, then I can actually do that. I can see a live wall particular for this site. And the best part is that all of this is from within the Milestone UI. And now I can go in and I can use the integration that is already present to see the Milestone dashboard. Operators can filter bookmarks. We can see where in the last 24 hours, what were the events that were generated by icetana. And if I were to pick on a single event, you would see that this was an unusual event, unusual time of day. Even with poor visibility, icetana has picked up that a car was present and this car came in and parked over there. If I wanted to check the same event in the alarm management, then I would also be able to do that, where I go down to the actual event that took place, and I would be able to view that event as it happened, even with the poor visibility, and the icetana bounding box is also there. So as I've demonstrated in real time, all the capabilities of the system, I come back to my predictive SOC. I can see my live wall. I've shown you the interface, how it all works together, all opened inside Milestone. You're not forced to switch ecosystems. The workflow remains unified, even across continents. I hope the message is consistent. Unlimited cameras are manageable in the predictive SOC of tomorrow. Humans are great at judgment. We're just lousy at looking at thousands of cameras in real time. The combined solution gives the operator the clarity that he needs, making him a super operator. One single pane of unified information across multiple sites, even continents. It's that simple. Thank you very much.